I don't think it's a shock to say that online interaction has been a necessity in the gaming world for the past decade. That demand has been met superbly by Sony and Microsoft, allowing their users to post gameplay clips, ask questions, and have a simple-to-use friend system that allows players to easily connect and play their favorite games. But there's one industry giant that's sorely missing: Nintendo. But that hasn't always been the case. Ever since their creation, they've been known as the more family-oriented game company. They've had very few first-party games that have received an M rating by the ESRB, but they were the first company to adopt online gaming functionality, with add-ons to the Famicom, Super Famicom, and Nintendo 64 in Japan supporting limited online play. Even in the 6th generation of consoles, they were one of the early pioneers of online gaming, only being beaten out by the Sega Dreamcast. The GameCube's online capabilities, however, were lacking in comparison to the other services offered by competing companies. Like the previous Japan-exclusive add-ons that provided online connection, the GameCube had a few hoops you needed to jump through in order to play online. First, there were only 3 American games that supported online capabilities, and they were all Phantasy Star Online, a port of the Dreamcast exclusive. So I hope you like MMORPGs. Second, the GameCube didn't come straight out of the box ready to connect to the internet. You had to buy the Nintendo GameCube modem adapter for $35. Once you finally had that, you could plug it into the bottom of the GameCube in this little slot and could finally play Phantasy Star Online. It's a shame these were the only games that supported online play. With how good the GameCube's library was, Nintendo could have capitalized by including online play in their heavy hitters like Super Smash Bros. Melee, Eternal Darkness, or Mario Kart Double Dash. But Nintendo wouldn't widely implement online play until their next consoles, the Wii and the DS. These consoles had vastly superior online capabilities, being able to connect and play many different games with your friends or complete strangers on the internet, the ability to send messages through the Wii's message board, and even one of the first online marketplaces for games with the Wii Shop channel and the DSi Shop. Nintendo was finally starting to get the hang of this whole online play experience. That isn't to say it was devoid of issues, other than the fact that it was a pain to set up, since more and more households were beginning to adopt Wi-Fi, meaning most families wouldn't have the strongest grasp on how to connect something like a game console to it. There was also the issue of quality. With how often you could get disconnected or even fail to get a signal at all, it seemed almost as if this service was held together with duct tape. But for the kinds of games Nintendo was putting out, the online function served its duty. I've gone through all of this to kind of paint a picture of Nintendo's presence in online gaming up until this point. It was during the time of the 3DS and Wii U that Nintendo would enter its golden age of online interactions, with Miiverse. For any early 2010s Nintendo veteran, I'm sure you know what Miiverse is. But for those who don't, Miiverse was a social media platform Nintendo put on the 3DS and Wii U that allowed users to talk about their favorite games, interact with Nintendo community managers, draw surprisingly good pieces of art, and leave messages across several games for the 2 consoles that supported Miiverse. The service launched alongside the release of the Wii U in November of 2012, with the app getting smartphone, PC, and 3DS support later in 2013. The app is sort of like a Nintendo exclusive Reddit clone. Let me explain. The app had communities for each specific game or app, meaning if you were posting something about, say, New Super Mario Bros. U, you'd go to the New Super Mario Bros. U community and post there for all the other people who enjoy that game to look at, respond, and react to. Accounts on Miiverse had to be associated with your Nintendo Network ID, Nintendo's now defunct service for making online accounts. You'd have your username, of course, And then instead of a profile picture, the application would use your Mii character associated with the Nintendo Network ID. So all your content would be linked to that Mii profile picture. Miiverse didn't have a traditional like feature you'd see on other social media platforms like Facebook or Twitter. Users could instead leave a yeah for any content they enjoyed. Along with this yeah, you could choose a specific reaction to place on your Mii if you commented. I guess Nintendo did this to emphasize emotion in the content? I'm not too sure, but I enjoyed the added feature. Miiverse was accessed from the home menu of both the 3DS and Wii U. Since the application didn't originally come pre-installed on the 3DS, users had to download a system update, which put the icon for the Miiverse up top with other applications like the Friends list and the internet browser. For the Wii U, it was practically the same, with the icon being at the bottom of the screen instead. Both consoles allow you to access the service in the middle of a game by pausing the game through the home menu and just going onto Miiverse. That allowed users to post the current captures of their game that they were playing. This often led to a lot of questions being posted for games whenever players were stuck at a particular point. Now, the Wii U was built with a lot more Miiverse functionality in mind compared to the 3DS. The home menu of the Wii U showed not only your most recent applications and games, but also what people were saying about them on Miiverse. Not only was there more utilization in the home menu, games like Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, Splatoon, and a bunch of Mario games had Miiverse messages appear in-game. In Smash, they would show up within the Miiverse stage. Splatoon would have player messages and artwork appear in Inkopolis, the lobby of the game. And a lot of the Mario games would either have them appear in the overworld, and in the case of Super Mario Maker, within the stages. All of this implementation led to a lot of unmoderated messages getting through. While a lot of sensitive words were banned from being able to put in messages, that didn't stop users from writing or drawing some of the most vulgar messages using the app's drawing feature. Despite being a social media app with a large portion of the user base being children, that didn't stop a lot of users from writing hateful slurs or graphic imagery, which was no doubt seen by minors. A lot of people point to this as to why Nintendo discontinued the service after only 5 years of operation, but despite the negativity that persisted on the app, there were a lot of wholesome, funny, and unique interactions that can't be overlooked. Since a large portion of the service's user base was children, this led to a lot of funny questions and statements being posted for everyone to see.
I'm failing at class, but at least I have Splatoon. Halloween. Time to take out the spider and scare the absolute living censored out of my sister. Halloween. Time to take out the dead grandpa and scare the absolute censored out of my grandma. That's not funny. Even for trolling, I find it most upsetting. I am horrifically furious with you. Good old Halloween tradition. I am looking for a sexy girlfriend. This is Netflix, not eHarmony. Shut up, go outside, and get some game. The name of the game is your mom, and let's just say I'm already playing it. Guys, look, I'm jumping on Dode. He's stupid. Who thought it was even remotely okay to put this here? The point of it is that it's a trap. It's to prevent you from just holding right. Me standing outside your house with a bat is also a trap. It's to prevent you from just walking forward.
Alongside posts of this nature, there were also some really impressive pieces of art posted, all of these being done either on the Wii U touchscreen or the 3DS touchscreen, which is pretty insane. The most beneficial part of Miiverse, at least to me, was that Nintendo could more easily interact with its players in a positive manner. Not only could executives at Nintendo post on the app, but Nintendo had community moderators who would make polls, art contests, and a bunch of other ways the company engaged with its players. Blazin' Bacon made an excellent video about the Year of Luigi, where a good portion of it talked about how Nintendo interacted with its fans for this event. So if you're interested in that, I'd highly recommend checking it out. One of the more well-known parts of Miiverse is the water guy. There was just this one user who would play a game and make a post reviewing the water textures for the game. I just felt like I needed to mention that since it's a pretty memorable part of the service. Like I mentioned earlier, Miiverse was discontinued in November of 2017, just as the Wii U and 3DS were losing popularity due to the release of the Nintendo Switch. Sadly, Nintendo's new console didn't come with Miiverse, despite the benefits that would come from its addition. Nintendo claimed to do this because, among many other reasons, many of the app's users were shifting to social networking sites. While this may be true, Miiverse added a much-needed sense of community, especially during the time of the Wii U and 3DS, when many people jumped ship to Sony or Microsoft. Many people credit the Miiverse's discontinuation to the lack of moderation and cost-cutting measures, which seems like the more reasonable answer. Thankfully, Miiverse users have been working tirelessly to archive all of the posts made on the app. Archiveverse is a website that hosts tons of posts made on Miiverse, so that they may never be forgotten. But archiving isn't the only thing that's going on with Miiverse now. 3DS and Wii U homebrewers have created a sort of revival of the service. On 3DS there's Rverse, a homebrew application that basically re-enables Miiverse functionality. And there's also Pretendo. Now, Pretendo's in-progress development, not only bringing back Miiverse, but online functionality for games like Splatoon and Mario Kart 8. Despite these services still being available, their user base is pretty limited, being only available to people who know how to homebrew their systems, which, while it's small, it's better than anything. So, what does Nintendo have to gain by bringing back Miiverse? Well, pretty much only praise from the community and the ability to finally be on par with Sony and Microsoft again, in terms of online platforming. With all the great games Nintendo has released on the Switch, it's a real shame that users can't post solely about the games on a Nintendo social media service. Like, I would love to see all the crazy Tears of the Kingdom creations in one centralized location, instead of having to either specifically look it up, or occasionally see one on other social media platforms. Nintendo could also have a lot more interaction with its community, posting more about stuff like Splatfests for Splatoon, game updates, or new releases that people should check out. It could also provide content creators with another outlet to interact with their fans. There's truly no downside to the idea of a new Miiverse, so long as it's moderated properly, which will take some expense, but it would be worth it for the enjoyment of users. At the end of the day, Miiverse is always going to be remembered as a unique time in Nintendo's history, where the fans who stuck through the seemingly dark times of Nintendo could group together and have their own community. The platform provided a lot of memorable interactions and experiences for Nintendo fans, and its impact on how longtime players view the company cannot be overlooked. Maybe one day we'll have something similar, but for now, all we can do is hope. Hi everyone, thank you so much for sticking through this all the way to the end. I apologize for my absence as of late. I've been working hard on a new PC setup so that I can put out higher quality videos for you and even begin streaming sometime later this month. So if any of that sounds interesting, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and check me out on Twitter and Twitch. Links to that are down in the description.